That's all right. This is a great place to network. So I had some carpenters tell me that a heat map I created was off 2.5 inches. I get to go check that out. I went and looked. I went through the data and it's good. No, there's actually only like 1.25 inches across this 30,000 square foot.
What were you
roll.
scanning with?
RTC. And I walked this floor myself. It's flat. So it'll be interesting to figure out how they screwed.
Yeah.
But I assume they were probably using like a line laser and had it locked or something like that. It's always I've also come across people really not knowing what they're doing when they're even using an auto level without jumping up and down and telling them they're absolutely wrong. Right now, I got to go out in the field and check it. But so that happened today. So
that's
sure
fine.
everybody's dealt with that kind of stuff. But.
We had when Jacob went to Colorado, or I sent him to Colorado to head up that division. He had carpenters pulling 100-foot tape measures in the snow and telling him he was a 1/4 inch off. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure that steel tape measure is really, really holding strong for you there. There's definitely not any expansion on that one. But and then you never quite know too. Like I've had, and I think what happened was he went out and shot it in with his total station before we stressed the deck. And he was, oh, you have some high areas here and some low areas there. And then I went up after we stressed and it was like perfectly flat. And then I was like, I disagree. He went out that day and checked it. And he's like, I don't know what happened. It's all perfect now. And I'm pretty sure just stressing that deck just flattened everything out, but I just let him believe he's crazy.
What are you guys using to store stuff and how long do you store it for? As far as anyone?
I've been using a Drobo, which is like 5 of those hard drives in RAID configuration. Stores it for a pretty good time. If one of them goes bad, you can just replace it. None of the data is bad. Yeah, I recommend those Drobos for something like that. So if it does get corrupted, it's stored on 4 others, so you're good to go. They're a little expensive, but it's nice. You're safe.
Yeah, I mean,
you should use blob cold storage. It's not that expensive.
what's that? Cold storage?
Blob. It's called blob cold storage. It's something you can get through your Microsoft account. I mean, I use SharePoint and I use 3 NAS drives. And they're all backed up to each other. And then on top of that, everything, once I'm done with it from SharePoint, I move it to a blob drive, which is just somewhere in the ocean, I think. I'm not really sure wherever Microsoft has it hidden, but and it's ridiculously cheap. It's like a penny a terabyte or something stupid, but it's like so slow. Like once you get it there, you good luck getting it back. It'll take a while. It's hours and hours of moving stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's mostly archival, right?
Well, my contracts have 7 years on them, so to hold data. Unfortunately, that was kind of a stupid contract that I stole from someone else back in the day, and I didn't ever think about it, and I've just never changed it. So I'm still using it.
Well, that's interesting though. I mean, the archival stuff, that could be that's really what I need. I mean, that I'm kind of done with this stuff. The contract I signed was like, I'll keep it for a couple months, deliver it to you, on a hard disk format, and then there's no retention, no contractual retention obligation, but I don't want to lose it. I still want to stick it somewhere, and if it takes a couple days to download, that's okay.
For those who haven't met Karina, she's a professor. She doesn't like that term professor, but she's a professor at a college in Canada for geomatics. So she's
and most of my stuff is remote sensing and laser scanning. So that's my primary teaching is. So if you ever have any ideas that is new and upcoming and you're like, this needs to be taught to the up and coming professionals, please let me know, because I would love to integrate as much as I can.
Yeah, there's been there hasn't been.
To hear there's a college. Oh, sorry, Mac.
No,
it's exciting to hear there's a college somewhere teaching laser scanning. That's or something to do with laser scanning. I don't know any in the United States.
There was
Oh, really?
somebody in Florida
Oregon
back in the
State
day that was
University
working on
has a
something.
big,
Yeah,
has a-
Oregon State. Yeah.
yeah, and then Washington State has
Wow.
one too.
Michigan also
Oh.
has one.
Yeah.
Well, I live in Portland, so that's perfect for me.
Yeah. I do actually really
look at
like
this
it.
way. I gotcha. It's a safer version of Long Beach. How's that? Long Beach,
There you go.
California, where I lived for 15 years. So
So I think when COVID hit, I had a total of 3 days off before they're like, oh no, we need you in Portland now. So I was down there working and I stayed in hotels and I take my kids and every night we would just longboard through the city because the city was shut down, right? Everybody was on COVID lockdown and it was like Mad Max style skateboarding through Portland. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
But then
Is anybody having noticing any significant slowdown in work coming in? I know it's kind of strange time of year, but I know here in Seattle things have slowed down significantly in the at least in the high-rise construction industry. I'm wondering if there's other industries feeling that effect. And there's a lot of infrastructure stuff going on, but as far as construction, have you guys seen any changes, or do you dabble in that realm?
I've seen some slowdown in construction and in surveying. I do some surveying work as well, and I'm in Colorado, so whenever the snow hits the ground, the remote sensing just kind of goes out the window for doing surveys.
With,
You guys hearing that?
I'm in Toronto, and two of my colleague companies, they're swamped with high-rise stuff. The one's working on a 80 or 90 floor building, and the other one's working on the one is 110 building, 115 floors.
Holy cow.
Nice.
That's insane. That's tough work. What do you
Yeah.
think, Mac? 20 floors, right? Let's get over
Yeah.
20.
I say about
Start to-
14, the crane starts moving the building. But make sure you get your guys some lanyards to go from their vest to their hard hats, right? So it doesn't, because you get about 40, 45 and the wind starts just blowing everything you own off of your body.
How do you manage, the technology side of that when those files get so big? I mean, are you just cutting it up into chunks, where it's like floors 1 to 10, 10 to 20, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
That's exactly about the only way to do it. If you had all of that compiled into one file location, it would just be a nightmare. I mean, just even to open them. So.
Yeah.
As far as like the survey side of it, every drawing was just that floor. Especially if you have safety gear traveling up on the outside, you can't really see outside anyway, so you're just confined to that floor realistically. That's why a lot of my my scanning targets were permanently attached to that trailing gear, and when it went up the next floor, I would just shoot it in with my survey, and then scan it. That way I didn't have to put up new targets every time.
Mm-hmm.
I like to work everything from stair towers. Stair towers is a project, each stair tower, then each level is a project of its own. That's always worked well for me. Well, I guess depending on if you're talking about high-rise buildings, they're not very wide usually. So, but if you were talking about something else, maybe a little different.
They're getting wider though. We did several before I left Conco that were a whole city block.
Holy crap.
So speaking of automation, has anybody found a good feature extraction automation tool for
I
like
was going
survey
to ask
tools?
about that.
God, I hope no one says Edgewise. I hate that software.
Do any of you use Metashape? I know it's mainly photogrammetry, but they have laser features, in it. But I don't know anybody that's. The reason I'm asking is because they have Python API layers, that can be, coded into it. And so once you upload, the clouds, you can have photogrammetry clouds with LiDAR clouds and then automation running in Python. And there's a huge library that people use for it. I just don't know anybody that's actually used it in the laser world.
I use Cloud Compare for that type of thing. They're really strong, and everyone's always adding new stuff to it. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was I was going to ask if that's what people use for combining drone lidar exterior stuff with, the interior stuff, with SLAM or